Hi everyone, I'm ika.himee and welcome to my channel. Today I decided to do a really quick tutorial while I was thinking about it, working on this commission, and it's something that I kind of see a lot of artists struggling with, and this is just kind of a little paint tool sci tip. It can actually be applied to Photoshop, as well as Clip Studio Paint and stuff like that. I mean, it's almost a pretty universal tool for most drawing programs. But I'm going to talk about using the multiply setting for layers to color fabrics, or really anything that contains more than one color. And I see a lot of people that do this. They kind of want to if they don't know how to do it, they'll go over with like the same colors or as the things that they're doing. So they'll shade with like the teal color, like a darker teal color, and then when they get to the green, they would go in with like a darker green color, and they would go so on. That is really tedious, and I really don't know why anyone would ever want to do that. So I'm going to show this little tip that I do to make my life less hellish. So let's get started. Now I'm focusing on the kimono here. As you can see, I have flower patterns and stuff on it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the color of the kimono, the main part of it, which is this teal color, and I'm going to kind of move my colors about to a more purple color, since it's kind of a tie between like pink and blue majorly. I mean, there's a little bit of yellow, but a lot of it is blue and pink. So we're mostly going to go with something that will complement both of those in kind of a cool tone. Now you see over here, I have clipped my layer to my flat color layer. And what this means, if you haven't watched any of my other tutorials, it means that anywhere I draw is going to just go on the layer that I have already put down. The colors on the layer below it, that's what I mean. So it doesn't go over the lines. It's like using the selection tool, but less annoying. Anyways, so I'm going to use a more purple tone, and the color you pick is going to be based mostly on the colors that you're using, obviously. You know, you're probably not going to shade a yellow with like a bright blue or something like that. Like, that would be stupid. So I'm picking a color kind of relative to what I overall want. Now, the color I'm selecting it's not like a bright purple or anything like that. It's more gray. I would probably describe it as like an off gray. So there's a little bit of color and it doesn't look super flat. Like, you can color with a gray and it's fine, but if you notice, the shading looks really dull. So I'm not going to do that because I like my shading to have a bit more color to it, so I am going to add a bit of color to it. Now, you don't have to worry about making the color of your shading really dark because it's a multiply layer. And what the multiply layer does is it kind of takes into account the colors beneath it when you're applying color on top of it. So that means that whatever color you put on top of it is going to appear darker than what you have selected. So I'm going to start off with a light color. Now, essentially I'm going to use just the same kind of techniques that I do for most of my coloring, and I just kind of take my watercolor tool in and I kind of just map out a bit of my shading around just areas that I want darker. I'm not really going to go too in-depth into that because I'm just kind of trying to show you guys how the multiply affects the shading, more so than actually getting into how to shade. So there, we have that done. It's really basic, and that's pretty much all you need for that. Now, when I take my darker shading color, I don't go straight down. I go kind of a little bit diagonal to the side, not a lot. It's a lot straight down, just slightly to an angle, so I'm not picking up the color directly below it, because that'll just make it look flat as well, and I want a little bit more color applied to it, so I just go at kind of an angle and pick a more purple and gray color. If that makes sense. I have no idea if it does, but I'm going to go in with my brush tool, which is what I use for most of my shading, and here is where I'm going to test out the color that I have, and I don't think that's dark enough, so I'm going to go a little bit darker. Notice I am staying on the same layer. That makes blending just a lot easier. It's a personal preference. You don't have to follow that preference if you don't want, but that's just what I do. Now, as you can see here, this is all the same color, and it's mapped out over here, and it goes over, and you notice that it just makes this like a darker green, and it makes that like a darker pink, and this a darker blue. That's just what the multiply tool does. So you just kind of go over it so that you can see exactly what the effect says on here. Again, I'm not going to really go in depth onto how I shade or anything like that. It's just kind of so you can really just see the relationship in the colors. Here you can just see that it just kind of darkens those colors up a bit. Through here. And I'm not going to do all of it because I don't really feel like I need to do all of it, but I hope that you guys can find this tip useful while doing arts that have lots of different colors in them. It just really helps make the shading a bit more seamless and like it all fits together. So that's really all I had for you guys. Like I said, it was just a really short tutorial, and I hope it made sense. If it didn't, I'm sorry. Sometimes I have trouble explaining things. But if you need more help, if you need me to explain something better, please leave a comment down below. As always, like my video and subscribe if you want to be updated when I post more videos. I try and post as much as I can. All the links to my social media are down below, and I will be updating all my social media and stuff with the conventions I will be going to this year very shortly, and I will update them as I get new acceptances and stuff like that. So again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye guys!